Harry's House by Harry Styles. 13 songs, 42 minutes too long. And what did you think about this?
So it's interesting because we had Fine Line in 2019, which was just like absurd pop that I really don't like. You had songs that blew up, like Watermelon Sugar, everybody's heard, and a couple other tracks. I think like Adore You and Falling as well. Really blew up, and you hear it everywhere, and it was okay. But as from the members of One Direction, I think he was the most overrated. I actually don't mind Harry's House. I like how he expanded more into electronic stuff with it, and did some stuff that was a little bit more, I could say, like understated in a way, but still like definitely really pop. But nothing that would offend me in any ways. Nothing that was like spectacular about it, but nothing that was just overtly pop like and Fine Line that I really didn't like. So it's interesting because he gets to be a little bit more introspective, a little bit more of like, hey, like obviously everybody has their COVID shit, blah blah blah. But for him, it was more of, I didn't realize how much I've been touring because of One Direction and his solo career, and how much he's missed. He's a couple of tracks talking about missing people's birthdays, missing relatives, things here or there, and then actually spending time with them and spending a lot of time with people who he hasn't been able to spend a lot of time, and saying, I don't want to do that now. I don't want to miss this anymore, which I think is actually a really cool introspective for a giant pop star, of being a little bit more introspective of, you know, family's important to me in this way. I don't want to just work all the time. I don't want to just pump it out because it's not worth it, which more power to him in that regard. But then there's still some stuff of, your normal Harry Styles silliness and things that I'm not too fond of, but it's all right in general, I would say. What did you think? But I will go more into the musicality in a little bit too.
Yeah, there's also the aspect of Harry Styles, his I guess choices in how he dresses. He's been seen in like modeling and like more feminine clothing, so to
Yeah,
speak.
super flamboyant stuff.
Yeah, totally fine. I have no problems with it at all.
Maddie Healy does that. Maddie Healy walks out in fucking skirts half the time on stage, so I can't say shit. I mean, Tom York, Tom and Flea walked out in man skirts, and the whole entire Adams Peace tour in 2013. So I ain't gonna say shit.
No. It's more just like it's been kind of like one of those pop culture things that has been abused by the right wing that has eventually led to they're grooming kids. They're trying to turn them homosexual and stuff like that. That it just like reminds me of that stuff. But you have songs like As It Was. You have songs like Little Freak that kind of dig into that in a more introspective way, which I actually appreciate it being done in a pop record, because the counterbalance to all those things is that if it were true that teachers groomed kids into their sexuality, then there wouldn't be gay kids, because we would have a bunch of straight teachers and then we'd have all straight kids. But that doesn't happen because gay kids still exist, and lesbian kids still exist, and bisexual kids still exist, and kids all over the gender spectrum exist. And a lot of times, middle and high school and the more, accepting places, and definitely in college, people are able to explore their gender identities more. And it may not be exactly what they land on, but for a lot of people, that is how they get to realize themselves in a much happier way. And to see that represented in all forms of media is important, because especially right now, you have a whole group of people, like a massive group of people who are becoming very violent in society right now, who are trying to push the existence of different expressions of gender or sexuality, or it doesn't even have to be that deep. Just like wanting to wear different clothes. Like,
you just want to be fluid, like just wear colorful shit, different things. He's into that stuff, which
that stuff was being like attacked and singled out. Whereas this is more like, as me, someone who personally doesn't do those things, but like, cause I have many friends who are girls, have like tried on their clothes before, like when I'm with them for fun, cause like fucking whatever. Counterpoint, look at all the gay shit men do when they're alone. So like there's like that's like
Madison, what's his face?
Yeah, Madison Cawthorn. And like that stuff,
Cawthorn.
which I believe is like a lot more iffy. Everyone's like, yeah, just bros being bros, just locker room talk, bro. What are you talking about? So like a lot of
Mm.
people catching themselves in 4K here. Um, but that is to say that
Oh
I mean,
no.
going into this really quickly, Music for Sushi Restaurant. It's a fine opener. It's this sort of like, basic sort of pop love song kind of deal. Um, I'm sure it has those swoony aspects to it, but
Mm.
like I said, there are certain songs in here that like I think have more, you
It's more
know,
substance.
yeah,
And for him as a giant pop artist, to feel more introspective, like about like late night talking, the second track, I like it because this is pop that I like. It's your natural like things that you can groove to, everybody can listen to it, but it actually has a lot of decent themes to it when you listen to the lyrics of it, and the production isn't overdone. It's a little dancey, and it's definitely different from stuff that he has done before. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with that. I don't mind that stuff. So I like to see the growth of him as an artist and as a person within this record too. And more on if the stuff that you're talking about too. But to see someone who, has all this fame, all of this stardom and whatnot, to be honest with himself as a person to say, hey, like there's all these things that are prevalent to me that I want to get out there to people so they can understand. But also of, I'm also human too. Like I have these faults, I have these things that I'm still figuring out of myself that I want to work on. And I don't necessarily want to just pump out music all the time. I don't necessarily want to always be on tour. I don't want to always do that just to make money. It's about the art, and it's now about not enslaving myself to the industry as it is. And I think that's actually really cool for a pop artist to go into that stuff of, I don't want to necessarily do this forever. I don't want to have to always tour. I want to be able to have a life and be a person, be a human, as well as someone who just happens to be a famous pop star. So I think that's really cool to hear that, because a lot of other pop stars just constantly, I mean, I'm looking at you, Drake, where you're just constantly popping out records, constantly popping out things because you think you're the greatest person on earth or whatnot, or you're just so insecure about being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan that you're not able to be introspective. You're not able to really stop, slow down, and figure out exactly who you want to be and what you want to do. You just keep pumping out music and all of that, and a lot of that substance isn't necessarily good because quality or quantity doesn't correlate to quality all the time. So, um, and you get that like towards the end of the album. You have "Keep Driving," "Satellite," "Boyfriends," the second to last song. You get these slower kind of introspective tracks too, and I don't mind it a lot. So I think as a overall project, it's a step in the right direction for Harry Styles for sure, especially from Fine Line and his self-titled record, I believe, in 2017 as well. So if you get his giant fan base that he has, if you get them to listen to this and then be able to branch out into different genres and different things, and even to branch out their own thoughts and their own, prejudices and stuff, the more power to them. Because I'll always give you credit for that.
definitely. Arbitrary scale. This week we're going to continue using the
Yeah,
years of Audioface, since this is the 5-year anniversary, and we usually carry out arbitrary scales in the bonus episodes because we can barely come up with them as is. This week it'll be, I'm going to give this the 2019.
yeah.
I, that's
I was gonna say it's a solid 2019. 2019 had some good records. You had Jai Paul make a random return. You had Tom York's Anima. You had a couple other cool things in there as well. But it was a decent year. But it wasn't anything like spectacular. It wasn't a 2018. Off the feet of 2018, when maybe like 19, like it can't get better than that. 2022 can be, but more on
yeah.
that. More on that come January.